Disaster was averted at dawn this morning in New York City when a police action to forcibly remove Occupy Wall Street protesters from their encampment in Zuccotti Park was called off at 6:18 a.m.
Brookfield Properties that they are postponing their cleaning.
Brookfield Properties, the owner of the park, issued this statement. At the request of a number of local political leaders, Brookfield Properties has deferred the cleaning of Zuccotti Park for a short period of time while an attempt is made to reach a resolution regarding the manner in which Zuccotti Park is being used by the protesters. Any such resolution will be respectful of the laws of the City of New York and will ensure that the park is used in a way that maintains the health, safety, and viability of the surrounding residential and business community. Later on his radio show, Mayor Michael Bloomberg also indicated that there was some behind-the-scenes political pressure on Brookfield to do the right thing.
My understanding is that Brookfield got lots of calls from many elected officials threatening them and saying, if you don't stop this, we'll make your life more difficult.
Once protesters learned they were free to stay in the park, some decided to march to the New York Stock Exchange. Police made 14 arrests. Police avoided violence, except in this case. Occupy Wall Street is planning a mega march tomorrow as part of a global day of action. Their Facebook page urges supporters to take Times Square, massive convergence in solidarity with the October 15th World Day of Action. We are building a new world. Joining me now is Michael Moore, Academy Award-winning filmmaker, activist, and the author of the new book, Here Comes Trouble, Stories from My Life. Michael, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me here. And by the way, before we start, can I thank you for coming down there? You were the first live broadcast from this demonstration when you were going to have me in the studio here, and I asked if you would come down there because no mainstream media had been down there live on the air for their broadcast. You came down and did the first live broadcast. So I just thank you from everyone down there and everyone across the country.
Well, it's you who got our cameras down there.
Well, but somebody here had to make the decision to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I heard. I said, of course we wanted that.
That was you.
That was easy. Yeah, Michael wants to do it down there. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. Let's get Michael. The New York media was ready for an explosion this morning. We had the tabloids, the New York Post today, their morning headline, Wall Street face-off, showdown at the Daily News, accompanied by editorials in here that were basically egging on Mayor Bloomberg and saying, you got to get in there and clean this thing up. I really felt something very, very ugly was going to occur this morning. I just think we're very lucky that this was averted.
I did not think that was going to happen. Now, of course, I've been down there for, on and off half a dozen times in the last couple weeks. I honestly thought that Mayor Bloomberg and those in charge would realize that they would be giving this protest the best headlines of the month if they were to do anything like that. I think they were afraid to go there. I was down there, one cop down there actually today asked him, why don't you think this happened? Why don't you think the eviction happened? And he said, because the mayor's afraid of YouTube. I mean, but when you stop and think about it, the power of the new media, the media that's in the hands of the people, that those in charge are afraid of what could possibly go out. So I think I'm not surprised that they're not dumb. They didn't get to own most of the world's wealth by being stupid people.
Right.
So the upper 1%, though, they are shaking in their boots right now because this has gone so beyond Zuccotti Park, Liberty Plaza. They're so beyond. It's in so many hundreds of cities now that it's a movement that can't be stopped.
But, it is my impression of Mayor Bloomberg and Ray Kelly, the police commissioner, that they don't want this. They don't. It's not a matter of, we don't want the YouTube video. They don't want the incident. They don't want the violence. They don't want something to get out of control and turn violent. And simply deciding not to go in there was the smartest thing they could decide. And it seems that it's possible that the mayor wanted some political cover. So the statement comes from the owners of the park, which is so peculiar here, because normally these things are public areas. I mean, that's what it was in Chicago in '68, the big riot. They went into a public park to get demonstrators out. It's private property. So the real public controller of the decision turns out to be this thing called Brookfield.
Right, which, by the way, the mayor's girlfriend is on the board of directors of this, the people that own the park. So I think, no, they obviously did the right thing because they don't have another choice. It's not really their choice. The choice has been made by the people who are occupying the park. And they're not going. We're not going. We're not going anywhere. We are there until we have justice. And for people that say, well, what does that mean, or what does everybody want? What we want is really a fundamental change. This is no longer about trying to get some bill passed or let's elect this congressman or whatever. We've been down that road. Everyone's been down that road, and everyone's depressed by the way the political system is run. So until we get the money out of that system, thank you, Dylan Radigan, until we get the money out of that system, we're going to have to really depend on grassroots people demanding this change and making this change occur. And that's what's going to happen. And people are running for office next year, I'm sure, are frightened by this and trying to figure out how to handle it, because unlike the Tea Party, this is not some clique. This is not some ideological clique over here. This is such a massive group of people. I mean, Brian Williams led the evening news tonight with just this incredible report of even Wall Street. People who work on Wall Street are going, you know, I kind of agree with the protesters. I don't really know what, but I mean, they can't. CBS Evening News tonight had 3 stories on. There was not one story that said, well, here's the other side, or here's the opposing side, because it's one of those stories that doesn't really have an opposing side except for the 1% who are on top. In other words, there's nobody that's going to stand in front of a camera and justify the greed that's taken place, the assault on the middle class that's taken place over 30 years. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing this uprising because for 30 years, working people have just been beaten and beaten and beaten to the point where how much more do you want to suck out of us here? You know, you've taken our jobs.
Suck out $5 a month if you use your ATM card. They'd like that.
Yes, they come up with something new.
They can think of more things.
No, they will, and the machine will think of more things. That is how it's designed and built. So that's why it has to stop. It has to stop. We live in a democracy where we, the people, are supposed to control everything, not just go and vote every 2 or 4 years. But we should have control over this economy. We should have a say in how that pie is divided up. And the people don't anymore. The people are just told, I'm sorry, you're losing your health benefits. I'm sorry, no vacation time this year. I'm sorry, no sick days. I'm sorry, you know, your job has just been moved to Brazil. I mean, that's essentially what people have listened to for 30 years, and they just friggin' had it. And that's the end of it. That's it now. This can't be stopped. Mayor Bloomberg saying we've got to clean the park, it's laughable down there, because the cleanup that has to take place is 2 blocks away on the actual Wall Street. Corporate America and Wall Street have to be cleaned up. This and people aren't going to stop until this starts to happen.
Well, Tim Geithner had something to say about cleaning up Wall Street. Let's listen. He was on CNBC, and he was being asked about
his favorite channel.
He was being asked about enforcement actions and this whole question of, you know, who has gone to jail for the crimes against this economy.
Oh, let's see who has.
Let's listen to what Tim Geithner had to say.
One of the things that the Occupy Wall Street people point out is that there's been no criminal charges, anything related to what's happened in the financial crisis.
That's not true. And you've seen very, very dramatic enforcement actions already by the enforcement authorities across the U.S. government, and I'm sure you're going to see more to come. You should stay tuned for that.
I don't know what he was talking about.
Maybe he was talking about another country.
I think at best he's referring to things like Madoff and this insider traders case yesterday. A guy got 11 years. Those kinds of things have always been going on. Those are individual speeding tickets on the interstate highway of commerce. That's all those are.
No. That what the people want to see is a perp walk. We want to see the heads of Goldman Sachs, of Chase, of these banks, of these firms, of the rating agencies that were part and parcel of this problem that caused the crash of 2008. I can't believe that over 1,000 people have been arrested in the city for nonviolently standing up against this, and not a single perp walk